Hey everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. If you're new here, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more coding tutorials. We are on day 13 of our 30-day pattern challenge. And today's challenge is all about printing a downward facing right angle triangle aligned to the right. So let's proceed with this challenge and we will move towards our VS Code. If we see in the VS Code, the question is already mentioned. What is the question? We have to write a JavaScript function to print the following pattern. Okay, now we will come down and we will just note down the important point of this particular question. So we have to write here what JavaScript function. So I will take this and I'm going to put it over here. After that, what we have to do, we have to print a pattern, right? So I will just write here what print pattern, and that pattern is all about what? Printing a right angle triangle. Okay, so just let us write it over here. Print a right angle triangle and the alignment has to be in the right. Okay, so that is what I will write it over here. Now let us come above at our line number 7 and we will define our function name as well. So we will keep our function name as what? Print pattern. So let us write it over here, print pattern, and our parenthesis. So this will be our function name. Okay, now let us come down and we will write our approach. So to achieve the particular output, we are going to write our approach. Okay, so first of all, in this particular question, what we are going to do, we are going to create an str variable. Okay, why we need this particular variable? Because this variable is going to hold what? Our final output. Okay, so that is what I will just write it over here. And now what we will do, we will just come here and we are going to declare here let str is equal to double quotes. Okay, that means we are initializing with what? Empty string. Okay, now in this question, we are again going to use what? Our nested loops itself. Okay, so I will just write here what? Nested loop. Now in this particular question, we are going to use two loops. Okay, so one will be our outer loop and another one will be what? Our inner loop. So I will just write it over here, outer loop and inner loop. Now what is outer loop going to do? It is going to control our rows. Okay, so how many rows we will have? All the rows will be controlled by our outer loop. So I will just write here what? It is going to control n number of rows. Okay, and what does our inner loop is going to do? It is going to control our n number of columns. Okay, so I will just write it over here. Now let us assume that our outer loop is which loop? It will be our I loop. Okay, and our inner loop will be which loop? It will be our j loop. Okay? Now we have just assumed that our I loop is going to control what? Our number of rows, and our j loop is going to control what? Our number of columns. Okay, now let us go above and we will take this particular pattern and we are going to analyze how many rows we have, how many columns we have, and what are being getting printed on each of the rows. Let us check that out also. Okay, so here if we see, this is our first row, so I will just write here what? 1. This is our second row. Okay, I have written 2. This is our third row and this is our fourth row. Okay, so in total how many rows we have? We have 4 rows and it is to be controlled by which loop? Our I loop. Okay, so I will just write it over here, our I loop. Okay, now let us see how many columns we have here. So if we see, this is our first column. Okay, so I will just write here what? 1. And now this is our second column, so I will write here 2. Then this is our third column, so I will write it over here 3. And this is our last column, so I will just write it here what? 4. So in total we have how many columns? We have 4 columns and it is to be controlled by which loop? It will be controlled by our j loop. Okay, so that is what we have written here. Now let us see on each of the row what we are printing here. So we can see here clearly in the first row we are just printing 4 stars and there is no spaces. Okay, so I will just write here what? Print 4 stars. Okay, and then I will write here what? Print 0 spaces. Okay, now after that, if you come down here, how many stars we have? We have 3 stars and we have 1 space. So 1 space and 3 star. Okay, so let us write it over here, print 3 stars. Okay, and what we have to print here? We have to print here 1 space. Okay, now in the third row, what is there? We have to print here what? Our 2 star and 2 spaces. Okay, so we will just come here and we will write here what? Print 2 stars. Okay, and we can just write here what? Print two spaces. Okay. Now let us come down here and let us see what do we have. So we can clearly see that we have one star and we have three spaces. Okay. And this is our one star. So we will write here what? Print one star. Okay. And then how many spaces we have to print? We have to print here three spaces. Okay. That is what we have understood here. So this is what is the following pattern. Okay. Now we will just see one thing, that here when I is equal to 1, here 4 star it is getting printed. When I is equal to 2, 3 star, correct? When I is equal to 3, it is 2 star. And when I is equal to 4, it is getting printed 1 star. If we just reverse the order of our I loop. So if I write here 4, here if I write 3, here if I write 2, and here if I write 1, then what we are going to get? So we can see here clearly that when I is equal to 4, it is printing here 4 star. Okay. I is equal to 3, 3 star. When I is equal to 2, 2 star. When I is equal to 1, 1 star. Okay. So this is what we are going to do. So instead of starting our I loop at 1, we will start our I loop at 4. Okay. That is what we are going to do it here. Okay, now let us come down and we are just going to write here what? Where our I loop and where our J loop is going to start and end. Okay, so I will just write here what? Our I loop we are going to write, and we are going to write here what? Our J loop. Okay, and here I will write start hyphen, and I am going to write here what? End hyphen. And here as well I'm going to write what? Start hyphen, and here I will write what? End hyphen. Okay, now let us come here, and now what we are going to see, that where our I loop is going to start. We have seen here that it is going to start at 4 and it is going to end at where? 1. So I will write here what? 4, and whatever the total number of rows we have, we will just put it inside our n. So I'm just writing here what? N is equal to 4, and here it is going to end at where? It will end at 1. Okay. Now what about our J loop? It is going to start at 1 and it is going to end at 4. Okay. So I will write here what? 1, and where it is going to end? It is going to end at our 4. That is what we'll write here what? N is equal to 4. Okay. Now we have understood this, correct? Now let us see in our for loop structure how we are going to write it. Okay. So we are going to write here what? I is equal to what? It will be our N. Okay. And then I must be greater than or is equal to 1. Okay. And then it should decrement. Why decrement? Because we can see here 4, then 3, then 2, and then 1. So it is going to decrement. This is what we are going to write it over here. Now let us see for our J loop also. So we are going to write here what? J is equal to 1. J is less than or is equal to, it will be N. Okay. And then here we are going to write J plus plus. Okay. This is what we are going to do it. We know that our J loop will be responsible for printing our stars and spaces. Okay. So I will just write here what? Print, and how it is going to print? It is going to print conditionally. Okay. So I will just write here what? Conditionally it is going to print our spaces and it is going to print our stars as well. Okay. Now let us see what is the condition we are going to pass it to get our space and to get our star. Okay. So we will write here condition as what? We will write J is less than n minus of I plus 1. Okay. This is what condition we are going to use it. If this condition turns out to be true. Okay. So if this condition is true, we will add here what? Our space. And if this condition turns out to be false, then what we have to print? We will have to print our star. We can say we have to concatenate to our str variables, our spaces and our stars. Okay. Now let us take one instance. Okay. So I will be what? First time it will be 4. Okay. And our J will be what? It will be 1. Okay. Now we will substitute this here. Okay. So J is what? 1. And then we will get here what? N minus I. That means 4 minus of I means what? 4. Okay. Plus of 1. So if we just calculate this, what we are going to get here, then we will be getting here 1 less than, okay, 4 minus 4 is 0, correct? And 1. Okay, so this is what we are going to get. Now this condition turns out to be what? False, right? Because 1 is not less than 1, correct? Since this condition turns out to be false, at first instance, we are going to concatenate here what? Star. So that is what we wanted, okay? So in any of the cases, if this condition turns out to be true, then what we are going to add? We are going to concatenate our space, okay? In this scenario, we can see here that we can get one space also. Let us see that also. So when our I is equal to 3, because here will be our I will be 3, okay? And let us here have j is equal to 1, because j is going to start every time from 1 itself, okay? Now, if the condition is true, that means our j loop condition becomes true, then it will go inside and our if condition is going to execute. So what we will have, what is our j value? It is 1. Then we will have less than 4, correct? Minus of what? I, that means our 3, and plus of 1, correct? Now, if we see here, what we are going to have? 1 less than. 4 minus 3 is what? 1, correct? And 1 plus 1, we are going to get here what? 2. So we are going to write here what? 1 is less than 2. Now here, if you see, the condition becomes what? True. And since it is true, we are going to get here space. So in this scenario, we are going to get a space. And in the first scenario, we are going to get here star. So that is what this condition, if we write it, we can properly get our exact pattern, okay? So that is what we are going to use it, okay? Now let us come down and let us see how we are going to write it inside our loop. So we are just going to write our for loop structure now. We are just going to write here what? For, and then we will write here what? Let I is equal to n, okay? And then I must be greater than or is equal to our 1, correct? And then I minus minus. This will be our I loop. And now we are going to write our j loop. So here inside our j loop, we will write what? For let j is equal to 1, j is less than or is equal to n, and j plus plus. Now inside this, we are going to write our condition, correct? What will be the condition? We already know, right? And what the condition it is going to do? It is going to print our spaces and star, okay? So we are going to write here what? If condition we are going to write, and in the condition we will write j less than n minus I plus 1, correct? And if this condition turns out to be true, okay? So then what we have to do? We have to concat what? Space, correct? So we are going to concat our space to our str variable. So we will write here what? Str plus is equal to empty quotes, and in that we are just going to put here our space, okay? After that, we are going to write our else, okay? And when it is false, then what it is going to do? It is going to concat what? Star, correct? Where it is going to concat? It is going to concat to our str variable itself. So we will write here what? Str plus is equal to our star, okay? So this is what we are going to do. Now after every line execution, we want to our cursor to taken to be down, right? So for that, once our j loop is done, we are going to come here and we are going to concatenate what? Backward slash of n. So we will write here what? Str plus is equal to double quotes of backward slash of n, okay? So this will take our cursor to the next line, okay? So that is why we are writing it over here. Now once entire execution is completed and the loops are terminated, we are going to print here what? We will be printing our str variable, okay? So that is what we are going to write it, okay? Now, if we see, we have understood here that how many rows we have, how many columns we have, how conditional it is going to print. We have also seen one instance when it will be true and when it will be false, right? So we have seen this instances also, and we have seen our properly our structure also, correct? Now let us come down and we are going to understand our working, okay? So I will just write here what? Working. So let us go above and we are going to take here I is equal to n, I greater than or is equal to 1, I minus minus, okay? So let us take this and we are just going to note it down here, okay? And now we are going to substitute the values here. So I is equal to n, so it will be nothing but 4, okay, here. So 4 greater than or is equal to 1. So 4 is greater than 1, right? So therefore this condition becomes what? It becomes true. And since it becomes true, it is going to execute our J loop also, right? So we will take this and we are just going to take it down and we are going to substitute the values here. So j is equal to 1 and we will write here what 1 and we will write here what 4. So 1 is less than or is equal to 4. This condition is true, right? Because 1 is less than 4. Now since this condition is true, it is going to execute our if condition, right? So we will take this if condition and we are just going to put it over here like this, okay? So this is what we have to execute if our j loop, that means it turns out to be true. So we will come here and we are going to substitute the values. So what is our j? J is right now 1. What is our n? It is 4. And what is our I? It is nothing but 4. Okay. Now, if you just calculate the value, what we are going to get here, 4 minus 4 is nothing but 0. 0 plus 1 is what? 1. Okay. So if we test the condition now, what will be the condition? 1 less than 1, right? So 1 is not less than 1. Therefore, this condition turns out to be what? False. And if this condition turns out to be false, we have to print what? Star, right? So that means we are going to write here what? Star, okay? That is what we are going to get. After this, what will happen? Our j value is going to increase. So we will write here what? J equals to 2. Okay. So we will write here j equals to 2. 2 is less than or is equal to 4. 2 is less than 4. That means this condition turns out to be true, right? Now we will come here and we will just substitute the values here as 2 because our n and I value for this particular iteration, it is not going to change, right? So 2 is less than 1. Is it true or false? It is false. So therefore, we are going to get here what? One more star, okay? After that, our j values again going to increase. So it will become what? J equals to 3. 3 is less than or equals to 4. Now 3 is less than 4. Therefore, we are going to get here what? True. And then this part is going to getting executed. So we will write here what? 3 is less than 1. So if we check the condition, it is what? False because 3 is less than 1. So we are going to get here what? One more star, okay? After that, what will happen? J value is again going to increase. So j equals to 4. 4 less than or equals to 4. Now here, 4 is not less than 4, but it is equals to 4. So we are going to get here what? True, okay? And we will write here what? 4. So 4 is less than 1? No, right? So therefore here we are going to get false and one more star will be printed, okay? Now after that, what will happen? J value is again going to increase, right? So J will become 5. So we will write here what? J equals to 5 and 5 less than or equals to 4. Now, if we test the condition, this condition is what? Failing, right? So I will write here what? False because 5 is not less than 4, correct? Neither it is equal to 4. So here, this condition is going to fail and therefore, our entire loop here itself, it will terminate. And inside our str variable, what we will have now? We will have here 4 times star printed here, right? Now, if we go above, if we check here for the first instance, what we are going to get? Print 4 stars and print 0 spaces, correct? So that is what we have done here and we are able to get it, okay? Now, after this, what will happen? Our I value is going to decrement, okay? So we will have here what? I equals to 3. 3 greater than or equals to 1. Now, this condition is what? True. Now, since this condition is true, our J loop is going to start execution, right? So, we will have here what? J equals to 1. 1 is less than or equals to 4, correct? Because J loop is going to start every time from 1. So, this is going to be true, right? Now, here we will have what? 1 less than 4 minus of I, right? Right now, I value is what? 3. Now, here we will have what? 4 minus 3 is what? 1. 1 plus 1 is what? 2. Now, if you test the condition, 1 is less than 2 or not? 1 is less, right? So, therefore, this is going to be true, correct? And here we are going to get what? 1 space, okay? Now, after that, what will happen? Our J value is going to increase now. So, let us write here what? J equals to 2 and 2 is less than or equals to 4. Here again the condition turns out to be true, right? Now here we will have what? Here we are just going to write now what? 2 is less than 2. No, this is again here false, right? So we are going to get here what? Now 1 star we are going to get because 2 is not less than 2, right? After that, what will happen? J value is again going to increase. So we will have here what? J equals to 3. 3 less than or equals to 4. 3 is less than 4, right? So therefore, we are going to get here what? True, right? And here we will have what? 3 less than 2. Now 3 is not less than 2, therefore it is going to be false and we will get here one more star, right? After that, what will happen? Our J value is again going to increase. So J equals to 4 here. 4 less than or equals to 4. Now 4 equals to 4. So therefore we are going to get here what? True. And here we are going to write what? 4 is less than 2. Now 4 is not less than 2. Therefore, it is going to get here what? False, and we will have here one more star, okay? After that, what will happen? Our J value is going to increase and it will become what? 5. Now, we know that 5 is not less than nor equals to 4. Therefore, it is going to be failing here and we are going to terminate our J loop, right? And in our str variable, we are going to get here what? 1 space and after that 3 times our star. Let us just validate from above. So we have 1 space and we have 3 stars, okay? So that is what we have got here now. After that, what will happen? Again, our I value is going to decrement, right? So I value will become what? It will become 2. So we will have here what? I equals to 2. 2 is greater than or equals to 1. Now, this condition is again true because 2 is greater than 1, right? So, now after this, what will happen? Our J loop execution will start, right? So, I will just write here what? J equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to 4. Now, we know that this condition is true, right? So, here we will have what? 1 less than 4 minus instead of 3, it will be what? 2 because I value is 2. Now 4 minus 2 is what? 2, correct? And 2 plus 1 is what? 3. So we will have here what? 3. Now let us test the condition. 1 is less than 3. It is true, right? Therefore we will get here what? 1 space, okay? After that, what will happen? Our J value is again going to increase. So J will become 2 here and 2 less than or equals to 4. Now this condition is true, correct? So we are just going to change here our J value. Now 2 is less than 3. It is again true. So therefore we are going to get here what? One more space, okay? After that, what will happen? Our J value is again going to increase. So we will have here what? J equals to 3 here and then we will have 3 less than or equals to 4. Now this condition is what? True, right? So we will have here what? 3 less than 3 now. Now, if we test this condition turns out to be false, correct? So, we will have here what? 1 star getting printed, okay? So, therefore, here, now we will not get space because it is turning out to be false, okay? After that, what will happen? Our J value is again going to increase, right? So, J will become 4, correct? So 4 less than or equals to 4. Here it is true because 4 equals to 4. Now we will test this condition. 4 is less than 3. No, it is not. Therefore here false and we are going to get here what? One more star. Okay. After that, what will happen? Our J value is again going to increase and it will become what? 5. And since it becomes 5, so this condition turns out to be failing here, right? And therefore, our entire J loop is going to terminate. And inside our str variable, we will have here what? 2 times space and 2 times star, okay? If we go above and we test when I equals to 2, what we have? We have here 2 spaces and 2 stars, right? So that is what exactly we are getting here, okay? After that, what our I value is going to become? It is going to become 1 because it is going to decrement here. So 1, I equals to 1, 1 greater than or equals to 1. Here again it is true. Why? Because 1 equals to 1, right? So therefore we are going to execute again our J loop. Okay, so I will just take it from here and we are going to put it over here now. j equals to 1, 1 less than or equals to 4, it is going to be true now. Here now we are going to change our I value. What is our I value? It is nothing but 1. Now if we calculate here, what we are going to get? 4 minus 1, that is 3. 3 plus 1 is what? 4. So here we will have what? 4. Now 1 is less than 4. Yes, it is true, right? So therefore we are going to get here what? 1 space, okay? After that, what we are going to do? Our j value is going to increase. So j equals to 2. And here we will have what? 2 less than or equals to 4. Now this condition is again true. So we will have here what? 2. Now 2 less than 4. Correct? 2 is less than 4, right? So this condition is again true. And we are going to get here what? Space, correct? After that, what will happen? Our j value is again going to increase. So we will have here what? J equals to 3. 3 less than or equals to 4. Now this condition is again true. So we will have here what? 3 less than 4. This is true again. So we will have here what? One more space, right? After that, what will happen? Our j value is again going to increase. So here it will become what? J equals to 4. 4 less than or equals to 4. Now 4 equals to 4, correct? So therefore what we will have? We will get here true. Now we will change here what? 4 less than 4, right? So here again what we are going to get? We are going to get here what? False now, because 4 is not less than 4, right? So instead of now true, we are going to write here what? False. And then we will have here what? 1 star getting printed, correct? So we will have here 1 star, okay? Now after that, what will happen? Our j value is again going to increase, right? So j will become what? 5, right? So we will have here what? J equals to 5. And if we test this particular condition, we know that it is going to be failing. And here it is going to terminate. So finally, inside our str variable, we are going to have here 3 spaces and 1 star, okay? So when I is equal to 1, we can just see here that there is 3 spaces and 1 star. So we are getting exact output here, right? Now, after that, what will happen? Our I loop is again going to decrement, right? So we will have here what? I equals to 0, right? Now let us test the condition. I equals to 0 here and 0 greater than or equals to 1. Now, if we test the condition, it is going to be what? False, right? So therefore, here it will be our termination is going to happen and it will be the end of the loop, okay? So I will just write here what? End of the loop, okay? And once everything is done, we are just going to print what? We are going to print our str variable to get the final output, okay? This is what we are going to get, okay? Now, since we have understood the working, we have understood the looping structure, we have understood how it is going to be printed. Now, let us come here and we are going to write our function. So, before we proceed with the function, we are just going to open our terminal to the right hand side and keep it ready for the execution purpose, okay? So I will write here what? Function, and we will have here what? Print pattern as our function name, okay? And we are just going to invoke it, okay? So I will write here what? Print pattern, and here we are going to pass here what? 4 as an argument, and we will receive here what? N as an parameter, and we are just going to console it out. So I will write here what? Console.log of n. Now let us come to the terminal and test it. So I will write here what? Node 13 pattern.js. And if we see, we are going to get our 4 as an output, okay? Now let us come here and we are going to declare our str variable and initialize with an empty quotes, okay? Now let us start writing our nested loop, okay? So we will write here what? For. Then we will write here what? Let I equals to n. I greater than or equals to 1, and we will have here what? I minus minus, okay? Now inside this we will write our j loop. So let j equals to 1, j is less than or equals to n, and here j plus plus, okay? Now let us see the execution, how we are going to get it. That means how many times our I loop is running, how many times our j loop is running. So I will just write here what? Console.log, okay? Double quotes of I, okay, hyphen, then comma I, then comma, double quotes of j hyphen, and then we will have here what? J. Now let us run here node 13 pattern.js. And if we see here, when I equals to 4, j is running 4 times. When I equals to 3, j is running 4 times. When I equals to 2, j is running 4 times. And when I equals to 1, j is running 4 times. We can see here exactly the same working we have written. And when I becomes 0, there is nothing written here. That means termination is happening. Okay. Now let us come down and we are just going to comment here and we are going to write our if condition. Okay. So I will write here what if j less than n minus of I plus 1. Okay. Then flower braces and we have to concatenate here what space. Okay. So I will write here what str plus is equal to empty quotes and in that I'm going to put space. Okay. After that we will write here what else and then what we have to concatenate here star. Okay. So str plus equals to double quotes of and inside that put our asterisk or star sign. Okay. Now after our loop let us just print our str. Okay. So I will write here what console.log of str. Okay. Now let us come here, clear the terminal and run it. So I will write here what node day 13 pattern.js. And if we see, we are getting here the output. We can see we are getting the spaces and everything. But what we are not getting? We are not getting the next line, right? Every time it should go to the next line, right? So after our J loop, what we are going to do? We are going to add a next line to it, okay? So we will come here and what we are going to write str plus is equal to double quotes of backward slash of n, okay? Now let us come here and run it what node 13 pattern.js. We can see here we are getting the output, but one more additional line is added here. So for that, what we are going to use here, we know, right? In our previous challenges, we have done that. So we are going to use what? Our trim end method here so that it can remove the spaces from the last, right? So let us just run it one more time. So we will write here what node 13 pattern.js. Now we are getting here what our exact output. Let us just comment this console.log statement also and clear our terminal here and rerun it one more time. So I will write here what node day 13 pattern.js. We can see here that we are getting our output. Let us test it from the above pattern. So if we see here, it is the same output we are getting here, right? So that is what was needed and we have done it, okay? Now let us have a quick recap of this particular question. So what it was been asked, we have to write a JavaScript function to print the following pattern, correct? Then we came down and we wrote here what important point of the particular question. And we also defined here our function name, right? And from the pattern, we understood that we have to print what a right angle triangle, that alignment will be in the right side, right? After that, what we wrote here, the approach to get that particular pattern, right? So we wrote here what our str variable, then we initialized with an empty quotes, right? And then we came down and we wrote our nested loop, right? We wrote here what our I loop is going to manage our rows and our j loop is going to manage our columns, correct? After that, we analyzed here how many rows and columns we have in the pattern. We also understood how many stars we have to print, how many spaces we have to print. And we came down and we understood that what will be the start point, what will be the end point, how conditionally we are going to print our spaces and our stars, right? Then we also understood for an instance how it is going to behave when that condition will be true and when that condition will be false, right? Then we came down and we wrote our entire for loop structure here. So we wrote here our I loop, our j loop, then our conditional statement, and we wrote here that if this condition is going to be true, then you please concatenate your space, and if it is false, then you please concatenate your star, okay? And once our j loop execution is done, you please bring the cursor to the next line, and once everything is completed, we have to just print our str variable, right? After that, we understood the working, the execution line by line, right? From I is equal to 4 to I equals to 0, right? When I equals to 0, it is going to terminate, and every iteration, our j loop is going to run for how many times? 4 times, right? And when j becomes 5, it is going to terminate at each of the iteration, right? That we have seen in our terminal also, right? Because we consoled and we checked, right? So here we can see clearly that when I equals to 0, it is going to terminate. So there will be end of the loop and we are just going to print our str variable, right? The same thing we wrote inside our function also. So our function name we kept as what? Print pattern, right? And here we were passing n as an parameter, right? Then we just consoled here, we initialized our empty string, right, to our str variable. Then we wrote our nested loop, correct? And then we consoled here the iteration also. We tested here each and everything, right? Then we came here once our j loop is ending. What we are doing, we are concatenating here what? Backward slash of n, right? But line number 93, we just consoled our str variable along with our trim end method. Why we did that? Because we were getting one additional space, right, at the end. So remove that, we did that, correct? Then at line number 95, we just invoked our function print pattern and we were passing 4 as an argument. So our entire function was running on the basis of our value 4, right? And we got our exact output as well, right? So let us test it one more time. So I will just write here what? Node 13 pattern.js. And if we hit enter, we are getting here our exact output. This is what we needed, right? Now guys, what I want from you is try this particular question and after that try experimenting with different values of n and let me know your results in the comments. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more programming tutorials and I will see you in the next one. Till then, keep coding, keep learning and keep growing. Thank you so much guys. Take care.